You ever wonder what separates a brilliant AI from one that just spouts out nonsense? It can feel like magic, but what if I told you it's actually a delicate, measurable balance? Well, today we're going to dive into the secret physics of AI reasoning. So let's start with a really simple question. And forget about code and algorithms for just a second. Just think, how do you grow a good idea? You start with a little seed, you let it branch out, you prune the bad parts. Well, believe it or not, this is the exact metaphor researchers are using now. They call it a garden evolution sandbox. It's this amazing space where AI ideas aren't just generated, they're actually cultivated. The good ones evolve, and the bad ones, they get composted, making the soil richer for the next idea. So, what's the secret to making this garden flourish? Well, it turns out the answer comes from this really powerful concept in complexity science. The best ideas, the most intelligent systems, they all live and thrive in this one very specific place, what's known as the edge of chaos. Because you see, things can go wrong in two ways. If you have too much order, the AI just gets stuck in a loop. It repeats itself over and over. That's called a rigid failure. But if you have too much chaos, its thoughts are all over the place, random, disconnected, a chaotic failure. And yeah, neither one of those is very smart. That sweet spot right in the middle, that perfect balance actually has a scientific name, computational criticality. And this is way more than just a nice metaphor. It's a precise mathematical state where complex systems, I'm talking everything from our own brains to the most advanced AI, hit their absolute peak performance. And being in this state unlocks some incredible benefits. An AI at the edge of chaos can process way more information. It can adapt on the fly. And it finds that perfect balance between exploring brand new ideas and using what it already knows works. It's literally the recipe for real intelligence. Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually apply it? How do you write the gardener's manual to keep an AI in that perfect sweet spot? And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Can you actually put a number on this? I mean, can you measure, in real time, if an AI is in that brilliant state, or if it's slipping into being too rigid or too random? For the longest time, the answer was nope. But now that has all changed. Scientists have come up with what they call the three-layer coherence framework to do exactly that. And it's a really brilliant way to break down what makes an idea good. First, you've got the facts. Are the numbers and concepts solid? That's numerical coherence. Then there's the structure. Does the argument actually flow logically? That's structural coherence. And finally, the story. Does it all hang together? That's symbolic coherence. But here's the kicker. They're not all equally important. The structure, that logical flow, that accounts for a whopping 40% of the quality score, which tells you something huge. It's not just about having the right facts or a good story. How you build your argument is the most important part. So, of course, to prove this wasn't just a cool theory, they had to put it to the test. They took a whole bunch of AI-generated arguments, the good, the bad, and the completely nonsensical, and they ran them all through this analysis. And the result they found, it was absolutely staggering. They found a correlation of 0.989 between their coherence score and the actual quality of the AI's reasoning as rated by humans. I mean, you just don't see numbers like that in science. It's almost a perfect one-to-one match. This thing doesn't just guess at quality. It predicts it with near-perfect accuracy. Just to put that number in perspective for you, in a field like psychology, a really strong correlation is like 0.5, maybe zero point 0.6. Other AI metrics, they might get up to 0.7. So getting a 0.999, that is so high, it's basically like you measured the same thing twice. It's like this framework has somehow captured the very essence of what makes an idea good. So we have a blueprint for a single intelligent mind. But what happens when you scale that up? What if you want to build a whole team of AIs? And this is where it gets really wild. The exact same rules apply. The same framework that tells you how to build one brilliant AI mind also gives you the perfect blueprint for building a brilliant AI team. The magic formula, it turns out, is a 1-to-3 ratio. You need one integration leader whose job it is to pull everything together, and then 3 specialists supporting them, one for the facts, one for the structure, and one for the story. You see it? It's a perfect mirror of the coherence framework. It's amazing. And when they tested different team setups, the results couldn't have been clearer. A 1-to-4 ratio, too chaotic, not enough integration. A 1-to-2 ratio, too rigid, too much overhead. But that 1-to-3 ratio, that was the Goldilocks zone. It hit that criticality sweet spot and got the biggest performance boost. All right, so this brings us to the final and I think maybe the most exciting part. How do we take all of this amazing theory and actually turn it into reality? Because this isn't just an academic paper anymore, it is a practical blueprint. We're shifting from just describing how AI works to actively engineering AI to be more stable, more reliable, and ultimately, a whole lot safer. This approach is so fundamental that scientists actually had to borrow the language of physics to describe it. They're calling it the cognitive Lagrangian. I mean, think about that. They are using the same kind of math that describes the motion of planets to map the motion of an AI's thoughts. That's just how profound this is. And there's this one quote from the research that just sums it all up perfectly. The edge of chaos is not just a cool phrase anymore. It's a precise mathematical state where intelligence, whether it was evolved or engineered, can reach its absolute maximum potential. And this is why this matters to every single one of us. This framework, it's like an EKG for an AI's mind. It lets us monitor the health of its reasoning in real time. We can see if it's starting to get too rigid or too chaotic before it makes a mistake. And that is a massive, massive step towards building AI that we can actually trust. So we're left with this one final, really mind-bending question. If this same principle governs our brains and ecosystems and now AI, is this it? Is intelligence itself, in its purest form, just a system that has learned how to live and thrive right on that beautiful, that productive, that incredibly delicate edge of chaos?